Hello! It's been a while, and one of the reasons why I've not made a foundation video is because I have been testing my new foundation, which I got recently. It's been about 1 to 2 weeks. It's the Chanel Healthy Glow foundation. It says hydration and long wear. The bottle is really beautiful, and someone was asking in my comments, you know, she has the same skin as me, and she would like to find out what are my current favorite foundations. So I'll be sharing about that as well. So first, let's talk about this new foundation. This is actually my current favorite. I took a while to actually try on different days and on, you know, set it differently because I wanted to know whether or not I really liked it, and I think I have reached a conclusion. I do like it, but it is obviously not perfect. So first of all, I've been wearing this foundation today since 8 a.m. It is now around 12:30 in the afternoon, so it's been about 4 or 5 hours. I've been out, I've been wearing a mask. So one of the things that I appreciate about this foundation is that I don't really worry that when I take off my mask it would cake. So I found that it doesn't really cake around my face for my skin, which is a combination dehydrated. I do have oils coming out, especially on my chin and my nose, but the surface is dehydrated, so it tends to how should I emphasize dry skin. So this doesn't really emphasize dry skin that much, although around the nose it still would show the dry skin that I have, right? Because I have been using quite a lot of acids recently, and I don't think that it is really this foundation's fault. It's because I've been really being quite harsh with my skin lately, trying to remove my freckles and remove some of those bumps on my skin. Okay, so this is how it looks after about 4 to 5 hours, and as you can see, the coverage, even when it's just on, right, without concealer, I would not be able to conceal all these acne scars. This is a new, so all these you can still see. You can also see, okay, I can't see if you can see, but there are some like veins here. So the coverage of this foundation is not super high coverage. I'll give it around a 7. It has higher coverage than one of my favorite foundations, the Clé de Peau cream foundation. I think this is the most expensive foundation I've ever gotten in my life, and it's also the only foundation that I've used like more than half already, partly because it's very expensive, so I have to use it. But anyway, so coverage wise, I don't think it's super high. So if you want to look absolutely flawless, you either have to go on top with a concealer and really, you know, conceal all your flaws, or use a higher coverage kind of foundation. But what I really like about this is that the texture of this foundation is really, really fine. It really, in Chinese they call this the 果冻粉底, which translated to English is jelly, fruit jelly kind of finish. So you can see that you know, it has this, just looks like your face is quite juicy, right? So I do like the finish, and I'm using the lightest color BD01. So it maybe because I've been staying at home, but I think I've become a bit fairer, so I kind of gravitate towards the lighter shade foundations as well. And somehow, you know, I just like the way it looks. It doesn't look too over made up, but it still looks quite nice and dewy and glowy, and you know, but you can still see the flaws on my face, which I don't think it's possible to, you know, conceal. Unless I use a concealer, then I should be able to remove all these scars that you see. Okay, so for longevity, I think it does fine. I would think it's about a 7 as well. For pore smoothing, it doesn't smooth the pores as much as the Lancome foundations that I have. So in that regards, I would give it about 7. And in terms of cakiness, as I mentioned, it doesn't cake, so that would be a 0. And emphasis of dry skin, really tiny. I would actually be inclined to give it a 0, but I think to be more objective, this still emphasizes dry skin less than the Chanel one, so I'll give it a 1. Unless it can achieve the same standard as this, then that foundation will get 0. And oxidization, nope. That's one of the things I like about it. It does not make me look any darker or more orangey throughout this. As you can see, this is already the oxidized state. It's been around for 4 or 5 hours. Okay, so all in all, it is my current favorite. I like it more than this one. So this is also something that I think I gravitate towards, except that as I mentioned in my previous video, you have to be careful about how you apply this, because if you use too much, it will tend to cake on your face. So yeah, if I take the effort to apply it correctly, and I think it really works great with a wet sponge. It's just that I love using my brushes, so I don't gravitate to using a foundation sponge to put on my foundation, so I don't normally gravitate towards this. But if I want to achieve the same kind of dewy finish, but I want to have a higher coverage, I want to look more perfect, more flawless, and I don't mind making the point to remember to wet my sponge and apply with a sponge, then this works great. This is the new Shu Uemura Unlimited Glow Foundation. And if I'm going for a important event, it's gonna be the whole night, I want to look perfect. I don't care if I look a little bit more fake, meaning like there's less life in my skin. I just want to look flawless for a long period of time. I would actually go towards the Lancome. And if I really want to be like bulletproof, then I'll go for the Estee Lauder Double Wear, but that one has to be mixed with some other foundation or some kind of serum or something to make it less dry. If not, it's not going to be a good look on me because of all my dehydration, right? So that I cannot use on its own unless I use it really sparingly with a wet sponge or I mix it with something else. Okay, so this one is something I don't have to do so. Does a great job of smoothing the pores. It's just that I don't gravitate towards matte foundations. I think it's too made up for my preference for my day-to-day look. So yeah, and this is the glowy version of this, I would think. And there really isn't much to complain about this one, just that it does emphasize the dry skin a bit more than the other two foundations, which is the Chanel and the Shu Uemura one. But all in all, I think it's still great. I still use this once in a while. It's just it doesn't give me the magical feeling that I currently have with the Chanel. And honestly, these magical feelings, they come and go depending on the mood, right? So maybe tomorrow there'll be a new foundation that gives me another new magical feeling, but it doesn't have that wow factor right now that makes me all warm and fuzzy. So I'm still enjoying that glow that I'm getting with the Chanel. This, is great overall. Maybe I should go for a lighter color, I'm not sure. Maybe, as you can see the difference in the shade, this is BD01 and this is 0015. And the Shu Uemura is 774. Oops. So you can see in the bottle that the Chanel is the lightest looking one, but because of how it's not like full coverage, it doesn't really look fake or like I'm wearing a mask or anything. I just look very glowy. And here comes the star, the the one foundation that if I ever finish using, I would actually be very sad, because I don't think I can ever convince myself to spend 400 over Singapore dollars on a foundation. I actually thought that it was 300 over dollars, but turns out I remember it wrongly, and I think I told my husband the wrong price as well. But the only thing is that the coverage of this is really not something that, if I'm feeling good about my skin and I don't have any complaints about it, then I will be very happy with this. But if I'm in a bad mood, or in a, how should I say, going through a rough patch with my skin, right, and I want foundation to cover up all my flaws and make me look better, this somehow will not be able to cut it, because the coverage is, I would call it, I think, about medium-ish. So the coverage wise, I give it a 6, right? And so it's lower coverage compared to the rest of the foundation. However, this foundation, no, if I don't want to look cakey or have dry patches emphasized on my skin, I just want to have something that I don't have to worry about. It's not about looking perfect, it's about looking natural, it's about looking like you're not trying too hard and not, piling a ton of makeup on your face. Then this is really the one that I can trust, right? I never had it, even if I'm having like a bad day with all the dry patches and everything, where the other foundations would be a huge disaster. Like, for example, this one, if I was having a lot of peeling, this would emphasize the dry skin, but this would never. It's one of the reasons why it's so expensive is because it's supposed to be skincare in a foundation, and I guess that's why it's behaving that way, where it doesn't really emphasize your skin problems. It really nourishes your skin, doesn't feel dry, never dries your skin. So it's just one of those feel good on your skin. But if you want to go for an important event and you need the coverage, well, you can still go in with concealer, I guess, right? And I've actually seen this on some videos on YouTube where, like, the Chinese makeup artists use this on the Chinese actresses. So yes, so if you have the budget and you really want to pamper yourself and you don't have you have a pretty good skin condition, then I would really, really recommend this if you have dehydrated skin or dry skin. Yeah, I if I finish, I don't know whether I'll buy it again, because it's just so expensive, and I love buying foundations every other week, so I may not convince myself to buy it again. So that's why I kind of use it quite sparingly right now as well. Yeah, so I hope that was useful for you. And again, if you are interested to see other foundations that I have and compare them against each other, and you have similar skin type as me, you can check out my foundation dashboard. The link will be in the description box below, and you can just filter and compare the scores. Alright, so take care, stay safe, and